what do I have to give you to be on your team? And it's a fair question. Of course it is. What am I going to give away? I just really wish that we could reframe that. And the question needs to now be, all these years later, what will I get in return for giving you, let's say, we say half of my commission?
Welcome to the Sold Right Away podcast, the place where realtors come to turn their challenges into opportunities. Whether you're a solo agent or an agent on a team right now looking for a change, this episode is for you. I'm Maude Léger, real estate marketing strategist, and every week I sit down with ambitious realtors and industry leaders to uncover what's really going on in the market right now. If you're ready to stand out, scale up, and win in real estate, you're in the right place. That's why today I've brought Lynn Fee back on the podcast. She's a realtor and powerhouse team leader. Today she's sharing her take on why the realtors who scale without burning out are the ones who realize that doing everything yourself is not a badge of honor. It is the ceiling keeping them from their next level. Let's get to my chat with Lynn. Hi Lynn, thanks for joining us on the episode today. We've had a chat on the podcast before, but we thought it would be great to bring you back. Wanted to discuss a little bit deeper on some of the questions we had discussed before, but about your story. You started in real estate thinking that you would never succeed on your own, yet you made $170,000 in commission 20 years ago. So that means a lot for today. Your very first year in real estate, so 20 years ago. Most agents would call that a massive success. At what exact moment did you realize that doing it alone, even successfully, was unsustainable for you?
Well, it felt like a massive success in one respect, but the other part of me knew that I couldn't do this. I couldn't sustain that for very long. I felt like I'd run myself ragged, and I wanted to do everything for everyone, and I wanted to do it at a very high level. So I would always say I kind of became a team leader accidentally. I knew that I couldn't do the administrative side of the business and also serve buyers and sellers and keep running. And at the time, it was just for me an opportunity to figure out what to do. And nobody was, in the brokerage I was in, teams were not something that people were really doing or discussing. And I had just come from a team for a very short period of time. I had joined when I first got licensed, and it didn't work out very well. So I felt a little bit disillusioned about what would a team be. So I kind of just said it was time to maybe at least get an administrator, get a little bit of help. Then I was mentoring a new buyer agent. And before you know it, I had buyer agents and I had myself taking care mostly of listings. And it was accidental, as I said, to grow a team. And that kind of got me started, so.
Yeah, what a story. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
At that point, at what point did you discover that you needed help, actually?
As I said, when I was working so many hours, and I remember originally being told when I left my 9-to-5 job, not making like $30,000 a year, and knowing that if I didn't do something different, I wouldn't be able to remain in my little humble home in Grimsby. And I had 2 boys, and I thought, what do I do here? And I had asked the gentleman I was working for, would I have to work more than 35 hours a week? Because I didn't have any concept of what real estate would be. And he said, no, that'd be about right. And then, of course, I was working more like 3 times that amount of hours. And I thought, this isn't really what I was expecting. So I just thought to myself, something has to change, and no one's telling me how to do it. And that probably was the most challenging part, is I didn't really know how to build a team. There was no instruction manual. This brokerage didn't really have any solid ideas. So it was just like, let's see what we can do here and see what happens. And that helped a lot. Wasn't perfect, but it sure did help. So yeah, so that, let's say 22 years ago, it was different. It was quite different.
Yeah. And then working around the clock, you just like realize that's not sustainable.
Yeah. And I wouldn't, and really I realized I wanted to do better than what I believe maybe, I believe people deserve to have a very good experience, and I knew that I couldn't give them that alone. And if we were going to charge people the amount which I thought was an extraordinary amount to charge a client for selling their home, it had better be done at a really high level. And that's how my thought process was. Because as I said, all I ever really wanted to do was support a team leader, not be a team leader. So this was a whole different mindset for me. So
yeah, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
There's one question that every realtor asks before joining a team, and it's the wrong question that you say. What is it?
Well, that question always is the same, is what's the split? Like, what do I have to give you to be on your team? And it's a fair question. Of course it is. What am I going to give away? And I just really wish that we could reframe that. And the question needs to now be, all these years later, what will I get in return for giving you, let's say, we say half of my commission? Because traditionally, all teams are different and they all do ask for a different amount. But let's just say 50% seems to be a common thread. We hear it all the time, 50%. Some are different. Some are in different models. And we'll get to that later. Because although you did say this is about me and my journey, the truth of this podcast for me was to talk about teams and splits and what does a team offer somebody versus what is working alone. And it's becoming more prevalent in our business as to people are trying to decide, do I join a team? What do I give up? And some of our questions today I know are going to be around that. What's the good in being on a team? So we hear things like, what, give you 50%? What do you, I'm not giving up that much money. And they haven't either had an opportunity to be in the business and suddenly realize what they're competing against, which is a team like myself who offers so much. They cannot afford to do what we're doing on their own usually. And if they could afford it, they have to do so much business and they will run themselves ragged like I did. And can they actually offer everything and have a life? And that's the other thing, is can you do it and have a life too, and be able to, I hate to use the word compete, but when we walk into an appointment and we can bring in all the value, which we will get to eventually here, the value we bring isn't just because we're a team, but we have a brand, we have a history, we have ourselves a very high ranking on all the real estate boards. And although we are bragging about that here, it is a tremendously high ranking. So we don't just come with, look what we can do for you, but it's like, we also show up as we are successful and we're here to sell your home. So when someone can't maybe do all that we do, it's a burden that they're competing with. And then they may cut corners. Oh, are you going to do staging? Are you going to do professional photos? Are you going to be able to do this? And oftentimes they can't. They can't afford to do that. So they really need to know what it is that we do as a team and what we offer. And actually, recently, I finally put together a brochure because it's too easy for someone to dismiss it. Like, yeah, we know you do admin. No, we do far more than admin. I will get to that as well.
That's so great that you talk about the level of service that you're able to offer to your clients because you're on a team and you have all these resources. But a funny, interesting conversation I had with a realtor once was he was telling me he was on the team. He was disappointed that he had to give up 50% of his commission to his team leader. And then I said, but where did you get the lead? Oh, well, the team leader gave it to me. Then I said, oh, okay. So are you paying for marketing? And then the agent said, no, the team pays for that. And I said, well, so what are you disappointed about? He says, well, I have to give 50% of my commission to the leader. But I said, you just told me the lead came from the leader. So you would rather have 100% of nothing versus 50% of the lead, paid marketing, and all the services from your team. So what is that logic? How do you explain that to realtors?
And there's times, and I always have to remember to be patient with people that ask that, because in the end, just as an example, even if the lead didn't come from us, let's say he picked up the lead at the open house, it's irrelevant really, because in the end, the cost does not change. And it wouldn't matter. I mean, we could say, oh, you got the lead from me. And I know in some cases there's teams that'll say, well, if you get your own lead, or if it's your own friend or something, there's always concessions. I've told people we can always talk about concessions, but if in fact we're still going to do all that we do, and like I was trying to stay, on point here so I don't get carried away, but let's just step back a little bit. So we'll just say he's out at an appointment, he's out at an open house, and he goes, I got an evaluation appointment. So he calls in for it. We are the ones pulling all the information for him. So we're pulling everything, geo warehouse, any sales that have happened that we can help with, getting everything together, putting it in a file, putting it in a binder, getting him ready. He walks out like a pro within hours, and he walks to the appointment, and all he has to do really, we've got beautiful marketing materials all there. I mean, he walks in looking professional. And he's got not only the Lynn Fee team brand, he's also got Remax, Escarpment, Niagara behind him. It's a double edge. Like, wow, look at you. Like, it's just so much. And then he walks in and he's presenting all this. It's all been pulled for him. Then he comes back, he goes, oh, he calls, I won. Now right away I need listing documents. Guess who's doing all that? So he's taken his notes. He can either scan them over or he can pop in. And again, we have 4 administrators, by the way. I say this, not every team maybe does, but 4 experienced administrators, everything from, let's see, 10 years, 12 years, and a licensed person as well for 4 years. And they have learned how to do everything at a very high level. And so immediately all the listing docs are done. And we're on 2 real estate boards, but really it takes in a lot more. So Toronto Real Estate Board, which is technically PropTech, which is Niagara and Toronto. And then we have Cornerstone, which is, as we all know, Real Estate Association of Hamilton, Burlington. And it is another swath of area. So we're putting on 2 sets, and we're loading them right from our office. And we could do it at the Remax office, but the girls know how to do it really well. You don't even have to come up with your own story. We've done all that too, because Kim is 10 years in the business. She knows how to do it. We use AI just to make things a little bit nicer sounding. And mistakes are almost non-existent. And right now, if you make a mistake, you're fined. So we get the fine, not you. So everything's looked after. The beauty is that now you walk away with a beautiful package of listing documents and off you go. So this might not sound like a very big deal, but that's the stuff that takes time. And now our forms, there's so many of them. And when Tressa came in, there was a lot more to be concerned about. So we have, 3 brokers on the team. And so there's always somebody to come to and ask questions to, give me some help. And even our pricing right now, I'm jumping again, but to go in and do a CMA, a comparative market analysis, it used to be, pull 6 or 7 comparables, and, that's all you need. It is not all you need anymore. And again, I will say that our clients today are very smart and savvy. Yeah. They expect more of us. They have already checked, most of them have already checked out realtor.ca. They've got House Sigma. We walk in and they already know what's going on. We're not news anymore. We're like, oh, here comes the real estate agent. No, they want to know what else we know. Do you have something more for us? So what's great is we have a Monday morning noon team meeting. Also, yep. And with the sharing that happens, we do everything that comes up. We'll play something, whether we see something that another coach has shown us, but we're always helping to teach people how to do things. I will say that I have been doing this a long time, and I did all of it on my own. I do not go out on an appointment by myself. I don't feel truly qualified to pull comparables any longer. I know how to do things, but not at the level that needs to be done today. So I think, why wouldn't I? So we go out, people call for me, let's say, and I'll take Tracy or Torrin along, because they actually go into homes. They actually see it. They study it. And right now there is a higher level of requirement to do this well. So there's more to it. So I know I get a little carried away, but everything from, you pay for your own lock boxes? No, we pay. Your feature sheet printing, your digital floor plans. When you take it all in, we recently did a little math for somebody, just because, let's just say, someone's making $400,000 a year and 200 comes to us. You go, well, if you were to go hire your own person, but the expenses on that end are approximately $150,000 just to do all that is required, because that's a high level of production, a very high level. Therefore, it's a high level of expenses. So never ever think that, well, I can make that much and then not have all the signs, because we order signs from a sign company. We make special riders, all the little things that I think add value and also add a look of professionalism to our listings, say above and beyond. We don't pound signs in the ground anymore. People want their signs to look good, and so do I.
Yeah, it's your brand. It's the
That's right. That's right. So when you see my sign, you can see it a mile away, because that's how I want it. You know. So it's all the little things that a lot of people just don't have the resources. Not today, and we'll talk about the market as we go along.
So you talked about your admin team and then your brokers on your team. So you have agents on your team anywhere from 10 years to 55 years of experience. Now, why would a seasoned, established realtor or broker with their own clients choose to be on your team?
That's a good question, and I have my own theory about that. It's a little bit less stressful when you're on a team. There's always somebody there for you. So I have a couple of agents that like to go on vacations, for example, and they know they have a partner now that will look after everything for them. They don't have to pay the partner. They've got the partner to take care of things. That helps a lot. They like the brand too, because the brand gives them relevance. And I don't think I have to describe that word. So let's say I've got someone that's older. We'll just say older rather than, and they've been around a long time. They've probably sold more houses than the entire team put together, we'll say. However, anyone that might know them might just question whether they're relevant any longer. How are they with social media? If they were on their own, and they might even now have trouble with the computer or a smartphone. Doesn't mean they're not a great hardworking agent, but all of a sudden you have a team now that helps to do things like that. So otherwise they might think that person's out of touch, and they'll go to someone else. And I've heard it where someone says, gee, I can't believe they didn't hire me. I helped them and their kids, and because they just didn't think you weren't in touch with them, maybe, or they didn't get any mail from you or any emails from you. But we keep the emails rolling. So anyone on that lineup of ours, always a picture of everyone, and 30 times a year we are in touch with everyone's client. We offer them little bits of insight into what's happening. There's always a little gifting going on. Go over to Monk's and get chocolate at this time of year. Mother's Day is coming up, and we have everyone that's on our list of, I call them our A list or whatever. They'll all go to Trillium Hill Greenhouse and get a succulent flower from the agent, whether he's a 55-year agent or a 5-year agent. So it's a gift, and they don't see it that it's from me. It's from their agent, because their agent put them on that list. So then they say, wow, that guy's now with this team. And there's definitely something to be said for that too. And they get things done. Like, I know the one agent in particular, he counts on that admin team to do a lot for him, because he still hand writes things and brings them down for typing. And so, but that's old school. he'd write his own offers by hand if he could, but we take care of that. So yeah, it does help a lot. So that's kind of, that's a good thing. And we watch emails for people that might not be watching them, and they can go on a vacation and not worry, and everything's looked after. So that helps a little bit too. Yeah.
Nice. Very cool. We talked about the commission split, and we talked about how many hours you were working as a solo agent. So a lot of agents can relate to that. But you also said you were going to walk me through the math. So let's do that. If somebody joins your team and you're with your team, you're able to save them, 15 to 30 hours per listing. What does it actually mean for their income and their life?
Well, I probably may not have been the person that decided on the hours. So it could have been Donna, my vice president of operations. She's like the ringleader in there. So she kind of would probably have had those numbers. All I know is that when a top producer on a team, ours, for example, can pull in numbers like I mentioned, can still take more vacation than I ever can dream of taking in my entire life sometime. And be able to just know that she can turn that over, and the person she turns it over to, conversely, can also take a lot of vacation. And sometimes I look at the vacation schedule and I think, what am I doing wrong here? And so they get to do that and still make money, like a really good amount of money. We won't get into that, but and know that everyone's watching all the time. And even though these agents happen to be agents that will actually watch their phones even when they're on vacation, although they don't have to do that, but this is a career for them. Yeah. And again, that's something for another time. But I find that these agents treat this business as a career, but then they get to have their downtime and they get to enjoy. So, and also one in particular said to me, what motivates you to do that? And she said, I want to make money. Like, it's about money. I want money. And I could name everybody has a reason. Money so that I can travel, money so I can enjoy my grandchildren and take them on trips, money so that I can have a great life later. And and I don't want to say there has to be more to it, because that's what it is for them. And whatever it is, it's driving them, and they still get to have a good life and make money. So yeah.
The work-life balance.
Pretty good. What's that?
The work-life balance that some people never get. They get to have it being in your team.
Yeah, I might say to one, you know what? You didn't have to take you could leave that while you're on vacation. She's like, no, I like doing that. And my family knows that that's the reason that we're here on this vacation, because I do that. And I think, okay, good, so that's good. It's whatever, but they enjoy it. And yeah.
I love it. When I talk to realtors, I realize that feedback from showing sometimes sounds like a small thing, but your team handles it differently than most. And that's probably where some realtors lose business. So let's talk about why the feedback from the showings from your team is essential.
Yeah. I don't know if they will lose business over it, but the seller does get annoyed. Yeah. I'm surprised at how much they want that feedback immediately. And so half the problem is realtors don't like leaving feedback. And secondly, when we try to get it, they give us vague feedback. This is my favorite. The home was not suitable for my clients. And I say to myself, that is such a BS response. Like, how would you like if I gave you that one? So I tend to, myself, we have Mary Beth looking after feedback. And she immediately, like after the showing that day, she's following up, waiting. We have an auto thing. It's 3 questions. What do you think he'll bring an offer? What did you think of this? And then it's like, then this is not suitable. And realtors, I will tell you why that is, and they know it. They're not, well, they might be listening. Some of them are instructed by their team leaders not to ever comment on price. And there's a very self-serving reason. If they comment on price negatively and say, this price is either good or bad, then should we lose the listing eventually and they are hired, then they're going to either they're not going to get hired because they said something negative. So I sometimes reach out myself and say, come on, you got to do better than that. Like, that's me. So I might then get a personal response from that person saying, to tell you the truth, the price was, based on the work that had to be done, but they won't put it in the actual feedback. So we have to pursue it. And then that helps us actually too, to be able to go to our client and give that honest feedback and say, this is what we're getting. And off the record, we got this bit of feedback too. But they really don't want to put their name on that feedback. And it's unfortunate because it makes the industry look slightly dishonest and really self-serving. And that's not helping anybody. So, and I know that for a fact. So we go after it, but it starts with the original email. And then when that doesn't happen, then Mary Beth will email them back. She'll text and then she'll call. And that's not done by a lot of people. It's just like, sorry, we just didn't get any. Yeah. And then some people say, well, don't you realize if you don't get feedback, it means we're not interested. Well, that doesn't help. We don't care that you were not interested. We just need to know why. And that's really important because the seller is depending on us. They've opened their home up and you brought your clients in and possibly, who knows, maybe things were disturbed. All they know is their home was, I hate to say invaded. Their privacy was invaded. You went through their rooms and you just didn't have the courtesy to leave better than that, like 3 words. So yeah, so we push. We do push. We think that's only fair. Yeah. And then on top of that, we give them their feedback. We try to do that at least 3 times a week, as soon as they get it. And at the end of the week, we send a report that is so full of information. It includes everywhere that their home has shown up, and every week it changes. How many people have opened emails, where it is on, their socials. It is one of the greatest reports ever. And again, this is done for them so they know exactly where they stand. Their Google Analytics. That report's wonderful, but they're not happy with just that one at the end of the week. And it also includes all that. They want to know what happened that day with that showing. Yeah. So again, we do more than I think the average does.
Yeah. So, again, about elevating the experience for your team that somebody cannot do when they're solo because there's so many parts like that you offer.
Right. And do you think I don't want to say a single agent. If the single agent might only have one listing, and I guess he can be a dog on a bone on that. But if he's going to start calling, there could be an agent that just says, well, it's just him, I'm not going to bother. Yeah, true. But sometimes when I reach out and say, come on, you can do better than that. Mm-hmm. I would do better than that for you.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
So,
yeah. Yeah. So let's go back to the admin staff again that you mentioned.
Yes, okay.
You have 12 years, and then there's a lot of turnover right now in the industry. How do you manage to not have turnover in your admin staff while everybody else is?
Well, I don't always know what's going on in the industry, but I heard not long ago that it's not easy to find a good real estate administrator. Mine have been there, as I said. Kim has been there with me for 10 years. Donna is my VP of operations. She's licensed. She came in at a young age, and I just remember being so glad that she wasn't going to sell right then and there. So instead I said she's my ringleader. She runs that admin team, and she runs me and everything. So, and then Summer Schottlander was with me when I started. She was with Remax Garden City actually when I started back 20 some odd years ago almost. And we moved her around, and she's with me now again. And so she looks after transactions at the very end of everything. So I already kind of started telling you about the beginning. Yes. Somebody needs their CMA done, and then all that. And then it goes from there to Kim with the listing and how we do all that. And then the feedback is followed up. But then comes Summer. And Summer is the quiet but unbelievably efficient is a better word, I guess. She now takes it and takes that transaction and she starts to follow that through. She puts it through, does what needs to be done. She helps the client with a lawyer if they need one. Now it's utilities. Do you have everything done? Make sure you forwarded your mail. She phones them. They get to know her so well. So now the agent, doesn't matter if it's us or anyone, isn't having to babysit the client. And it doesn't mean you're abdicating responsibility. It's simply that she's way better at it.
Yeah.
And, telling them what they need to do. And then she makes what they call closing calls. She's making sure the lockbox codes have been changed. Nobody wants the old lockbox code to be left as it is, because now it's a conditional deal or a firm deal. We change codes again. So Summer is running that whole thing. And in the end, she's calling them the day before closing. Everything okay? You do know you need to be out of there, not by 6 p.m., which people think, because it says something like that on everyone, as soon as they get the key, you're going to need to be, so how are you doing right now? And then she'll even check with the buyer to make sure they've done their final walkthrough. Although these are things a realtor would do, it's so great when she's so efficient. She's been doing this so long. And she takes care of so we also do, and I don't even know if I got to this point, but when we do an evaluation, we send out a thank you letter. So it's all ready to go. I look at it, depends on who did it. We send a little Tim Hortons coffee card. Thanks for having us in. We're here when you're ready for us, and that goes up. Then there's a thank you, a gift, as well as a gift card that goes to all of our clients. These are all the things we pay for that the agent doesn't have to worry about. If they choose to add something to that, some of our agents like to add their own gift, but they don't have to, because we've already looked after that too, and it's coming from the agent. So we just ask the agent to deliver it. And it looks like it's from them.
Yeah.
So, and Summer coordinates all that as well. So the start to finish for the admins is amazing. Yeah. And why they stay, I am blessed. And I think that we have a really great tight little circle, and everybody gets along. Everyone, we have moments, but not amongst them. So, is everyone perfect? No, I'm not. They're not. We have moments, but it's not the where I worked in an office, 2 careers before real estate, and it wasn't always fabulous.
Oh, I know.
Women tend to not be fabulous all the time, but these girls love each other. They're like sisters, and they take care of each other. And I think it's part of it's that they care about each other. They care about me. They care about the others, and they want to see us do well. And it's a really nice atmosphere. We're in a building right now, an office in Grimsby. I always want to say to anyone listening, we service an area from the U.S. border, Fort Erie, Stevensville, all that, Niagara Falls, all the way through to Burlington, Oakville. But that happens to be where my office is, because I live in Grimsby. So that's what happened. But we're very efficient in all areas, and everyone comes there. It's like a house. It's like a home. Yeah. It's got a kitchen, bathrooms. We have offices and a boardroom, and we kind of make it a bit family-like. So the camaraderie between amongst them and us is palpable. We really enjoy it. And the other day, Ralph came in with his boxes full of Sweet Paradise donuts and porchetta and buns, and so everyone's like, we have a lot of fun, and I think that helps a lot. And I think they're remunerated quite well, as in my opinion. Who knows?
Makes sense. Yeah, all makes sense. Very good. All right, this is so great. Let's go back a little bit. You talked about how you built your team from scratch without a roadmap. What mistakes did you make early on as a realtor that realtors who join your team will never have to make?
I wanted to say, wow, there are no such things as mistakes. But yeah, it was like I had no direction at all. And I just think to myself, when you had asked that originally, I went, I guess I should have done some research. But I really just was terrified at the time. I'm like, I'm the breadwinner. I don't know what to do here. And because the only company that I'm now with, they were the only ones doing doing teams, and I couldn't go there and ask. So I was sitting going, I don't really know what to do, and no one really thinks it's a great idea to do a team, and I just know I can't do this alone. So it was really, like I mentioned before, I just sort of was putting things together and trying to call it a team. But I suppose there were other ways, or I could have found out a few things, and I didn't. But all I knew was I am a bit of a control freak. So I say that kindly about myself. It might be why I became successful. I don't know. But because I wanted things done my way, I needed to make it so that I was in charge. And when I saw how things were being done, and again, this was over 20 years ago, and I come into a smaller brokerage, and I looked around and I thought, I came from an administrative marketing background, and I didn't like what I saw. And I remember thinking, this is not from it was just, I had a sense of, why are they pounding, like I said, pounding signs in the ground when I can see others in other places are making big, beautiful signs? I'm going to get the big, beautiful signs. And I can remember my mentor at the time saying, what are you doing that for? Nobody needs to do that. You don't need it. I went, it's not about need. It's about how I want it to look. It was color photography, color ads in the newspaper. I wanted my face in that newspaper. I didn't know anybody. I was in a town, but I wasn't social. I'm an introvert by nature. So I didn't socialize. So I didn't have any people that I could say, hey, guess what? I'm in real estate now. And I thought, you're going to have to show up in a big way, because the people in this brokerage are really experienced and they've been around a very long time. You're competing against highly experienced people. I wasn't aggressive. I was just I have to do something different here. So in order to do that, I would have to look better. So professional photography for even my face. And I was like, everything has to look good. Our listings. So had I not done that, it might have not been the same. So there was that, did I do it right or wrong? I don't know, but I had a really high level of motivation because I was the breadwinner. Yeah. I had 2 boys at home, and I said, you got to figure this out. So, signs, staging, color feature, booklets, even floor plans, nobody was doing, but it was like, well, no, we're going to do that. And even though everything was a much lower level than it is today, it was better than most. Yeah. And also even the Toronto Real Estate Board, I knew that's where buyers would come from, but you had to pay extra. So then you didn't join the board that I was aware of. You could pay to put your listings on. So you had to pay, I don't know, $250 or something. So I did. And then we would scan it over there and they would put it on. So anything I could do. Well, I that was probably one of the reasons that we did so well. And so that was what I did. And it said, I don't know, was it a mistake? I just was, doing the best I could with what I knew. So it worked out.
Sounds to me like you're consistent with the experience, the elevated experience of your clients, the branding, the look that you're bringing to the table. But what I'm discovering with this conversation is the processes. You built a team as a business using processes that you've set in place. And of course, these change, but I can see from the beginning of the transaction or the first conversation to the end completely, and then after, you have processes for every part of it.
Yeah, I did. I was very particular. But again, never thought, sales was not in me. Yeah. And that's something we can talk about next.
True processes that now realtors don't have to start from scratch and build their own processes. That's the most boring part of a business, and you've done it for them.
Yeah, that's for sure. Yeah, for sure.
So speaking about branding, another fear of realtors is about losing their identity, right? If they join a team, the Lynn Fee team, they are afraid of losing their brand, their identity, or their client relationship, their independence. How do you address that specifically with realtors?
Well, I will first of all say that probably I said it earlier, but when I first joined that team back 20, I really didn't care about my identity. And I have to understand that not everybody feels that way. But at that time, honestly, I was very impressed with the gentleman who had the team. I remember thinking, he's worked so hard to get here. All I want to do is support him. And I was so enamored with what he'd done and who he was. I remember thinking, I just want to make a good living. And he's already set it up for me to make a good living. I just want to support this guy. I could care less if anybody knew my name, but that was me. And my ego wasn't big or anything. So I was like, just whatever it takes. And unfortunately, I'd say it really didn't work out. And I wasn't looking to be a big shot or a team leader or anything. So as I mentioned before, I build this team totally out of need, totally out of having to do it. So then when somebody comes in and has the ego, I have to put aside my own thought of, oh, you want your name in lights, do ya? I say that with care because I want to go, I've worked so hard for 22 years to get here. So but I get it. I get your need, but guess what? It doesn't really, work for me because I'm not going to, what am I supposed to do about that? Like, I built that, and sorry, it says Lynn Fee on the sign. It's a Lynn Fee team, and my face generally goes with that brand too. So you want your face beside my face, like, and it's not to be a jerk. It's just, I'm sorry. This is how it is right now. So I do offer them the opportunity that if they bring a listing, my sign is there, and then their rider is on it. So anyone going by sees their name. That's probably not enough. And for some people, honestly, they do need to move on and do that. They want their name. And I understand it because they've either come to real estate very motivated, and that's the difference. They come very motivated. They do understand the market. I didn't know anything, but they came going, I know what I want. I've worked, I got my license, and I've been working at it, and I want it to be my name out there. Then I say, good for you. Then you should do that. And so I've seen those that do that, and they're successful. And then I see the ones that do it, and they're not. And I think people feel like I'm not either going to give you that, keep giving you money. Well, because they're not doing well, first of all. And I have to be careful how I say that, because there's a lot of benefit to being with a team that has a brand that's respected, which I believe mine is, that is experienced and is known as a respectable brand. So I think you could do really well here if your ego isn't involved. But I understand it too, because now that I do have a bit of an ego, I guess, I wouldn't want suddenly to not have and then the other part goes some days, I've had enough of the ego. I'm good. Just let somebody take it over. But I worked really hard to get there. So to just say to somebody, sure, we can put your name on that listing as well on the board, and then you're going to disappear in a year, and I've split my stat with you. And this is going to sound a little petty, but we have statistics, and the reason I rate so high is because my 6 or 7 realtors, including myself, we rate somewhere because we keep it under me. There's other realtor out there who's got 80 to 100 realtors. It doesn't matter. He's going to be number one no matter. But it benefits my whole team if we rate high. They all can say, hey, we are number blank or whatever on the real estate board. So it would take it would take a lot for me to say, okay, I'm going to let you do that. But in the meantime, there is something to be said for all that. And like somebody said to me recently too, sometimes people just need to do that. They need to get on their own. And I don't have a problem with that. And I understand everybody has to do what they have to do, right? Yeah.
So I guess that brings the next question, which is, what would you say to a realtor who thinks they're too experienced or too established to be successful?
Oh. Well, um, I would say give it a try. Why not? If you feel too experienced, you're too established, then you've been doing it on your own up till now. So maybe you've got it figured out. Are you making enough money? Are you feeling like you can handle it? How's your business doing? I think they have to ask questions, and then um, if they're feeling any pushback from a client, like I've been around but I'm not getting hired, then maybe there's another conversation. Been doing it so long, why would I'm not sure that that there's I wouldn't argue that with them about it. Like, I always think you've got to want to be on a team, you've got to see the benefits of it. And if it doesn't feel good for you, then after you've listened to this, or you've come on in, have a coffee. You don't have to have an interview. Just come on in and have a coffee with me. I've often said that. We don't have to get serious here. Do you want to know what goes on? Come on over. We'll have a coffee. I like to do that. I like to tell you more, and yeah.
So at the beginning of the podcast, we started talking about your first 12 months in real estate and how you were able to achieve a successful first year. What can an agent realistically achieve in their first 12 months on your team with you? Not just about income, but also about growth.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because income is really dependent. But I think what I didn't have when I started, and that's why I ended up leaving the team I was on at the time, and what I offer now, because I think it's really important, is there's a level of mentoring and coaching. We were doing more of it at one point, but we are still there. And I always say we have 3 brokers. Torrin is my son. He's been in the business 15 years. He's a broker. He also trains with Humber College students trying to get their license. So he's a plethora of information. I'm at the office almost every day. Tracy Sarasano is also, I call her my listing partner. She's constantly studying, which makes her so amazing to have on an appointment, because she's looking at Realtor Insights, Canadian Real Estate Association, how to price effectively to help in a market that's unusual right now. Some are not happy with how our market goes. We learn to ride it out, but there's some hesitancy right now with our buyers, and our sellers are still looking up. So it helps us when we have smart numbers, and if we've really gone a little bit deeper into things. So they come in and they don't have a clue, or they do and they think they know, but we're able to show them a few other things. So we've got an opportunity to do a lot of mentoring. We suggest they come in 3 times a week, even if it's just to be around the office. And people say, well, what are you doing in the office? You got to be selling real estate. No, what happens if they don't come in is they're at home doing laundry. They're at home with their kids. They're at home doing home things, because being at home is distracting. And I know myself, like, I'm usually not at home, but I needed to be quiet here. So I like going in. There's energy in the office. There are 4 administrators in there all the time, and it's always, we're on WhatsApp together. We have individual, we know everything that comes in. They remind, Lynn, you see the email that came in for you? Someone's looking for this, and do you need me to put something together for you? So we're energy, and they need that energy. And if someone did walk in the building, what a great opportunity, because we're right on Main Street, so it makes for a great opportunity. So they come in, and then we're going over stuff. We just started a new, we've been on top producer for decades, because I am still old, and I still like my old thing, and I didn't want to lose my thousands of clients, and I was scared into thinking that I might. So finally we transferred over to Follow Up Boss. And then they have the opportunity now to start learning that. So we're always in that training mode. Someone's there to say, well, let's sit down and get your get all your contacts in. And then agents worry that they're going to lose all their contacts. We're going to steal them off them if they ever leave. We don't do that. Everyone's is their own. So we're hugely honest. Integrity is of the utmost importance, and everyone's treated like, just like the way they're supposed to be treated. This is, your database. We're going to help you serve it and service it. And so we're showing them all the things. We show them what to do, how to put things together. There's always computers there, and it's a comfort zone. They don't have to come in, but 3 times a week you need to show up. And it's a 90-day probation period as well. And that way you get to know whether you like us, and then we get to know whether we like you. Because as I was going to say in the last question you asked me, but I thought, I heard recently a broker with our company say this, and I don't have her words exactly, but it really was something that I thought, how true. But like she said, you can be really smart, you can pass all your exams, flying colors, you can know everything about real estate, but if you don't have what it takes, and it takes a lot, you've really got to want to do this, or someone said recently, a very senior member said, you got to really want to make money, because some part of you has to not treat it like a 9-to-5 job. It is not a 9-to-5 job. And if that's what you wanted, I want to say, this is not your career. I thought it was going to be simple. It was not. And now I would know a 9-to-5 job would be like, that's what I came from. And I thought they need to know this is a career. And that is the message I guess I need to get out is it's a career. You don't put the phone down when you go home and say, I'm done for the night. Not if you're going to be on my team. No, it doesn't happen. Like, we watch phones. We have coverage, by the way, all right until about 9 or 10 at night. And it's being forwarded to you all the time. And people who want to buy or sell a home, they start that process at 5 o'clock at night.
After work.
That's right. So, and on weekends when people say to me, well, we just wanted to chill, I want to go, okay, so you wanted to chill. Well, there's no money in chilling. Sorry. That's a lifestyle that does not actually fit with real estate. So that's something that I think is always important to know. And we kind of find that out. We find out when people show up and don't show up, and how they handle a lead and things like that. Yeah. So, finding that.
What would it be if they were on their own? It would be even more 24/7, right? How many realtors are literally 24/7 at all times?
Well, but then they wouldn't have to split what little they make with somebody. They would just, and that's where, that's kind of a, it's not a talking point today. It's just not.
All right, let's switch gears a little bit here and talk about the market. Right now, we're talking about one of the slowest market in over a decade. What happened to a solo agent when we're in a slow market like right now?
Well, I'm not exactly sure, but I look at the stats as well. And I was actually looked at them yesterday. I had a reason to look at them. And I was actually surprised to see that for the first quarter of this year, people that I am really familiar with, I would call them successful real estate agents. Some of them are on teams, some of them are not. And they would have done, it looks like they closed 3 deals in 3 months. And I wasn't looking to be critical. I was actually looking for someone. It was purposeful. And I was trying to find his name. And I thought, I just was wondering, doesn't matter. And I thought to myself, and I had to go quite a long way down the Hamilton board to find it. And I thought, well, I can't figure out. And as I was going down, because we are like in the top 10, just so you know, out of 4,000 agents, gotta be careful saying that. But I'm thinking, okay, and I'm going down just because I didn't want to miss, and I thought, okay, I wonder why he's not here. But as I'm passing down that list, it was like, holy smokes, I thought he did better. I thought he was doing better. I thought he, she, whatever. And I would go across and go, 3 units. That's not good. I didn't look at volume, I just look at units. And I was like, surprised. and in a very like solemn way, because we've done pretty good. And yeah, we've done pretty good for sure. So when I saw that, I was thinking, wow. So it is a tough it's a tough go for some, and a solo agent is going to feel it hard, I'm sure. And I'm not sure if they're cutting back on expenses or cutting back on advertising or marketing, but you can't sell 3 homes in 3 months and live on that. You can't. So maybe there's additional income coming in from maybe hopefully some investments, rental properties or something like that. But for a lot of realtors, not all of us were smart enough to do that. I'm one of those people who was told by her very first broker, it's a good story, very first broker, very smart man, he said, you will never retire on your commissions. And I thought, no, are you kidding? There's a lot of money I'm making, first year. I will be just fine. He was correct. You have to buy investment properties. And he had a system, 15 properties over 15 years of 15%. I did not do any of that. So last year, there were a lot of expiries. I'm sure I'm not the only realtor that had expiries, because our sellers had a pie in the sky number. And if we weren't able to get them down, showings really did slow down, and they expired, and they would say things like, well, we're going to put it back on the market in spring. And even though I'd say spring will not be better, 2026 spring will not be better, what people don't know, including solo agents and buyers and sellers themselves, is that I had this confirmed by my broker owner. The cost of a listing as it expires is approximately $5,000. Some would argue that point. He said $7,000. But between hard and soft costs, it's approximately $5,000. I had at least 10 expiries. I think maybe more. If I had 10 expiries, and I think we're really good at pricing, imagine what others went through. Now, that math there in itself is nauseating, let alone the fact that these same people will come back to the market saying, I want to give it a try again at the same price. And now we're in okay, you know what? And you can't say, no, I lost $5,000 on your listing. They don't want to hear that, because we're rich. You know that, right? We're millionaires. We are. We're millionaires, all of us. And we can afford to do that. On one side, I recently did a pushback on somebody and just said it wasn't an old listing. It was one that I was expected to take at an overpriced. And I said, only if you're willing to put up the for this, because this is so overpriced. And they said, well, that's your job to do that. And I remember thinking, my job? Like, it was so funny to hear, because it was a realtor, actually. A realtor who his own home, he didn't want to list it. And I said, my job? And he said, I lost 2 last year. And I said, I know, but this is the mentalities that realtors should. So the solo agent, this is a tough go. If he's got expiries too, he may not have lost that much because we pour a lot in. But I always say it's not, even the realtors on my own team who may have overpriced a listing or 2 that contributed to that 10, they're not losing, but I am. So now we become very, very discerning about what listings are we going to take at what price. And that's why becoming pricing experts, by the way, becomes really important. And also walking away sometimes becomes crucial. And it's a really tough go this year to say we might have to walk away from people. So that's a kind of an answer to a wonky market. Yeah, nobody likes to do that.
No,
but,
you're right. Things that expiring on the cost.
Mm-hmm.
If you're a solo agent, if you lost 3 listings, that's $15,000. You have to make more than 1 listing a month to pay for the loss. Anyways, the math is like, the math is that the people don't understand. Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah. Now that we've done through the math through the exercise of understanding like all the value you add as a team to any agents in the industry right now, the slow market, the expiry, the commission split. We went through all of it. So now for the realtor who's listening right now to this whole conversation and something's clicking and they just want to know more, what are the steps for them? How did they get this coffee you promised or the private conversation?
It's so easy. I love to talk about teams. No, I really think that a team is not for everyone. I'm not sitting here telling you everybody should be on my team or everyone should be on a team. It isn't. And I'm going to say this is something that somewhere in my notes was, teams are evolving, by the way, and they're evolving into collaborations. That's something I didn't talk about because not everybody wants this style of, it's almost like, I was trying to think, there's a word for this. This is like, mom is taking care of everything. You just need to go sell real estate and I'll do the rest. Some people don't want that. They want to get into a more like a partnership, more like a collaboration. And that could make a lot of sense, whereby, two people decide they're going to do things differently. They're not going to maybe do a split. They're going to take care of their own expenses. They're going to have some rules. They're going to have an administrator that takes care of things at a high level. There are other ways. And then the fact that I have whatever 6 or 7 licensed people on the team that like it this way, that speaks volumes as well. So this is not the only way. But if you did want to talk about this or any other options, I don't have them all, but I'm sure if we'd have had them back then, we might have explored differently. So I know that there's going to be contact information that'll be here at Sold Right Away. You can call me, text me would be best at 905-929-1055. That is my personal cell phone. Also too, we have a kind of a personal www. Just let me see for a second. There is my website's lynnfeeteam.com, but then there's a section called Our Team. And if you click on it, it says join the team, and that comes directly to me. But I also have an email address that's personal. Just to me, it's my name, lynnfeedirect@gmail.com. LYNNFEE direct@gmail.com. And really, my office is in Grimsby. It's a big building. But if anyone feels like they don't want to be seen, and we've had that before, they didn't even want to come through the back door, I'll meet you for coffee somewhere. Tim Hortons, I don't care. We have places we can go, because a lot of people just don't even want anyone to know they're looking. And you might be on a team and you want to change. So you're alone, you just want to have a chat. So it's easy to do, easy to reach me, and I'm happy to show you what we do or talk to you about anything you like.
Yeah.
How's that?
I think you add so much value. You have and on all around. We talked every single angle of how much value can you bring to any type of realtors right now. That is the right fit.
Yeah. I'm happy to do that. I really do like what I do. And I like to think we excel at what we do here. So I'd like to share that. I really do.
Well, thank you so much for your time today. It was a wonderful conversation. I really appreciate it.
It was. I enjoyed it. Yes. Thank you for giving me the opportunity. Appreciate it.
Thanks for tuning in the Sold Right Away podcast, where serious realtors come to think bigger, execute smarter, and win more listings. If today's episode challenged you, or if something clicked for you today, subscribe, leave a review, and share this episode with other realtors who need to hear it. Until next time, work smarter, take actions, and get more out of real estate.